All right, another found footage film since we've gained such a following of found footage enthusiasts, which is really cool. I'm always pushing us to watch at least like one a week now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we have a lot of people who are looking forward to us discussing these. So, funny enough, the reason why I checked this one out is because someone in this found footage Facebook group that I'm in posted this poster of this movie, and above it said like, "Loved this movie, it scared the hell out of me," whatever. And they took, I don't know if they screenshot or whatever, maybe tried to download it or something. I don't even know how people do this, honestly. It's beyond me. But the poster was cut off before you could even like see the title. You could see sort of the title, and it was so pixelated, so awful quality that everyone in the comments was just laughing and being like, "Sick, what movie?"
Yeah.
And so like I had to like look at the poster to try to figure it out, and then finally realized what it said and typed it in and put the real poster. And so like piqued my interest after all that attention on somebody posting a really blurry image of a poster.
Yeah.
So this is about a guy who is traveling abroad, and he has been living in Italy for like a year. I want to say it's been a year.
I don't remember how long, but yeah.
I'm almost positive.
I think it's a year, yeah. It's just a year.
And while he's there, he makes some friends. One friend in particular that he hangs out with all the time, Mike. Right?
Yeah.
And he gets a girlfriend that he falls madly in love with. And his buddy Mike, the rapper, which some of that actually reminded me because he does some rapping in this. It reminded me of a lesser version of The Kid from The Visit.
Yeah.
The Kid from The Visit's way funnier to me. But regardless, it had that flavor to it. So Mike is like a gambler. And he is hanging out with this guy who they refer to as like a Nazi midget.
All the time.
He's like this shorter guy who, I don't know, they seem to think he's a fascist for whatever reason.
It's like a joke.
Yeah, it's like a joke.
But yeah, it's funny.
So he loses like 5,000 euros to this guy. I think accumulatively, he's like created, this debt to him. And the guy tells him like, "Hey, if you go stay out in these woods overnight, not only will I wipe your debt clean, but I will give you 10,000 euros in addition." And so he convinces his buddy to come out there with him. And his buddy, who's our main protagonist of the film, he decides he is this this videographer now, which is what he's doing throughout the film. And he's going to bring his cameras. And when they go out there, there's, of course, like this legend, and there's a abandoned asylum, and whatever.
Yeah.
You get the drift. So, overall, I did quite like this. When we first started watching this, the first maybe like 20 minutes, when it was just our main guy and his girlfriend, I was like, oh wow, this is like, the acting feels really authentic.
Yeah.
The chemistry between them feels real.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, we might have a really good one here. Mike showed up, and his like rapping and everything was cute and whatnot. But his acting throughout was rocky. Like, he would go from fine and believable to like anytime he tried to be more like dramatic, that's when it fell apart. And it would take me out like every time. So a lot of that stuff was kind of reality breaking. And we've talked about this a million times on the channel when it comes to the found footage films. It's all about that reality. It's all about that verisimilitude, where it's like you gotta buy into the reality being created in the film, right? And if you can't achieve that, you're gonna really have to work 10 times harder. I've only seen it work a few times ever, and it's only because the movie's so cool. Like the Fear Footage 2 Curse of the Tape. where the acting is horrendously awful, and you're like, oh my god, but the movie outside of that is so cool that I'm like, this works. I don't care how bad the acting is, as long as the fear level and the scares and all that stuff is working, then you can pull it off. But if your film is like not otherwise amazing, your acting really needs to be authentic and feel genuine. So anyways, I'll say more in a minute, but what did you think of the Spirit Chaser?
Yeah, I was the same. Like, in the beginning, I was pretty into the movie, and I was like really invested, and then probably about halfway through, I started to kind of lose a little bit of interest. Yeah. Overall, I like it. Like, it's a fine movie, but I'm not a huge fan of the ending. I think there's some creepy stuff in it, but I don't know. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about why I didn't like it, because
it's hard to say without
spoiling it. Yeah. I know that you it was fairly predictable part of what was going to happen. So sure. I think maybe that has something to do with it, but yeah, I don't know. I like it okay. It's not a huge recommendation. I mean, it is for found footage people. Like, I know that's what we always say about these movies that we're like, it's not horrible, but it's definitely not like a favorite under like lesser known one or anything. But yeah, I agree with everything you were saying about Mike. I thought that his acting was sometimes like believable, and then other times, like you said, when he was being more dramatic and like angry and whatever,
when he needed to act,
when he needed to be more intense, I was definitely taken out of it a little. And we don't really get a whole, I mean, there's some other actors in there. I also didn't like one person's performance.
The guy they run into.
Yeah, I was not a fan of his performance.
Terrible.
So, and I really think that that's probably why I don't like the ending, now that I'm like saying it more and like talking through it. Because I think that his performance was so important for the ending that they were going for and with everything, and it just did not sell me on it. So I just didn't like that.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I kind of forgot, but now that you remembered it and brought it to my attention, it's like, that is a huge downside of this film. While Mike's performance can be rocky, there are good things to it.
Yes.
But in this other performance with a male character that we meet towards the end, who's supposed to be imposing, intimidating, and a person who brings us a lot of our what word am I thinking of here? Exposition.
Oh yeah.
It's just it just isn't good. It just did not work at all. It's very forced. It's like your friend who is trying to be the evil mastermind guy who's like that kind of guy, and you're like, dude, dial it down. Or dial it up. I don't know, something. But it ain't working. And then as far as like the main antagonist of the movie, I thought that worked okay. Mm-hmm. I found this character to be oddly attractive. Which didn't help. But regardless, I still think they work okay. They work fine. But the ending definitely goes for two different things at once.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that in theory. But I think because we don't get some major payoff in the form of scares or gore or like plot twist, or even though they're going for those things, I never felt any one of them land completely, but I never felt like any of them failed miserably either. I just kind of felt like they were attempted and mildly successful, where I was like, okay, like that kind of that happened. Okay, like that was okay, I guess. And then the movie ended, and I was like, all right. And that's kind of how I felt about the film in the end. It was about how I felt about the ending. It was like, that was all right. I enjoyed watching that enough, So it's an okay one.
It's okay.
But they were pretty. There's another one they were really ambitious.
Yes, definitely.
Right? And I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
So kudos to them for that.
Absolutely.
It just didn't work for us specifically, but maybe it will for you.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being...
The blurry poster girl seemed to think it worked for her completely, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So it could work.
Yeah. I definitely, as you said, the ambition behind the film and the low budget and everything, it's always impressive and always cool to see filmmakers, amateur filmmakers doing that with those limitations. So there's no knock for that, It's just, the ending doesn't work entirely for me. But it's okay.
No, because I think what happens is all atmosphere is lost.
Yeah, I think
because
so too.
Because of
what
the
you
guy's
were saying
performance.
About the two, and also the two things happening at once.
And the two things happening at once.
I think there needed to be more of a beat between those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes all of the tension out of the room.
Right.
And then tries to put it right back in.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like,
yeah.
Is that how that works? I'd mention a movie right now, but that would be a spoiler. But it would be a specific 80s movie that it's in the end. And if they tried to then...
Be like, never mind.
Yeah.
Actually, it's this.
They're like, never mind. Just kidding, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
If you guys watch it, let us know. It is on Tubi. Shocker.
Yay, Tubi.
Yeah, good for Tubi. If you look up a found footage film and it ain't on Tubi, let me know.
Right.
I don't know of its existence currently. But found footage enthusiasts only. It is a totally fine watch. Anybody else? No way.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Let us know. Bye.
Bye.